This week on the Analog Circle podcast, we get an update on the DLC for Cuphead, The Delicious Last Course. Jim Ryan sits down to talk about cross-gen support. Batman Arkham Knight is getting more DLC, and we find out when the embargo lifts on Cyberpunk 2077. All of these stories can be found here and more in episode 155 of the Analog Circle podcast. I am your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and I first off want to say thank you guys so much for being here to spend a little bit of time with me to go over this gaming culture that we all love so much. Now, before we get into all of the news and things that broke this week, I want to let you guys know that everything is back on track with the podcast. We're back on schedule. So this Wednesday, there will be listener feedback. So if any of you guys listening right now want to be a part of that episode, you can feel free to do that two different ways. You can either call in at 443-216-9934 and let your voice be heard, or you can email the show, and the email address is the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. I got a real good feeling that episode is going to be a pretty long one. I just got a feeling. But that's what it's there for. I love hearing from you guys. And like I said before, if you got something you want to get off of your chest, things you want to talk about, questions you have, that is the way to do it. Get it into the show, and I will most definitely go over it. But with that being said, moving on into what I've been into this week, let me tell you, I was blown away this week by a game that I played that actually came out during the 360 era. I actually picked it up. I told you guys I got the double pack over Black Friday of Bayonetta and Vanquish for $20. It was an incredible deal. And I started playing Vanquished. Didn't really expect too much. I thought it would be okay. Thought it would be pretty good. But I'ma tell you, man, that game is crack cocaine. I could not stop playing that game. That game was so much fun. It was so over the top. The controls were really, really good. That boosting around mode where he like boosts on his knees and he's shooting, and he slides on his back and he's shooting, jumping, behind cover. Sometimes he's standing up behind cover. Sometimes he's sitting down behind cover. That game is magnificent. And I'm not trying to oversell it. Now keep in mind, I bought it for $20. So I truly believe that most people, you feel a certain way about how much you pay for something. Now, if I paid $60, man, I ain't even going to cap, man. No lie, I would be just fine paying $60 for Vanquish. That game is awesome. I mean, it is really good. I'm not trying to oversell it, but man, just think about the best way that I could describe Vanquish is just take Gears of War and just ramp it up by like 10. This game is so over the top. I'm doing boss fights where I'm shooting this huge boss's mechanical arm off, and I'm taking missiles and slamming them back down into the boss, and boom, it blows up and he jumps up the other side. That game is so dope. And that's like the first act that I'm playing, and all of this action is going on. When you start getting low on energy, you go into like this slow motion mode, almost kind of like a Max Payne-esque kind of situation, not quite as cinematic, but the bullet time situation, and you're going around and you're shooting boom, 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 and you're seeing it happen in slow motion. God dog, that game is so nice. Man, that game is so cool, man. You know what it also reminds me of too? It really put me in the mindset of, think about Titanfall, okay? And think about how agile the pilot is, how he can move around doing the wall runs and all of that stuff. I'm not saying you can do that in Vanquish, but the movement of the character in Vanquish, he kind of also reminds me of what a pilot would probably play like if they made Titanfall a third-person shooter where you're only controlling the pilot. I mean, he's very nimble. He's fast on his feet. I mean, the weapons that they give you, God, dog, man, Platinum Games really did their thing with this one. I don't understand why Sega has not told Platinum Games, look, man, we gotta get a second one of these up out of y'all. I mean, y'all already have done greenlit. Well, I don't know if Sega's behind the publisher on Bayonetta. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know, but I think they are. Don't 100% quote me on that. But if they've been able to do several Bayonettas, I believe they're up to the third one, and I think that's an exclusive on the Switch, if I'm not mistaken. If they were able to do that with Bayonetta, it is no reason why they should not be pushing for a Vanquish 2. This game is so good, man. It really completely went above and beyond what I was expecting. If you haven't played Vanquish and you're a Gears fan and you're also like a fast-paced action, third person shooter kind of game player, man, I can't recommend it enough. And I mean, I got 2 games, 2 AAAs. I would say they're AAAs for the price of $20. I think regularly, it's $40 for both. But even at that price point, I mean, I've heard nothing but great things about Bayonetta, so I'm sure that's going to be lit too. But just talking about Vanquish, wow, I don't want to harp on it too much longer. But man, I was live streaming that game on the YouTube channel. Go over there and subscribe if you guys feel like you're in the mood to. Go over there. I got gameplay. I mean, you can get gameplay from anybody, but if you want to see me play and, kind of see my skill set, I ain't that great at games, but it was just, it was so much fun, man. That's all I'm going to say. I'm done, man. I can't wait to jump back on the sticks and continue to play it, but oh, man, it was dope. Anyway, with that being said, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into what we all come here for, and that is the gaming news that went down. Now, let's start with Cyberpunk 2077, because people may be wondering, when does the embargo lift? Well, I'm sure you know, but if not, it will be December 7th at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Reviews of the game will be live. I'm interested to know, what do you guys think Cyberpunk 2077 is gonna get? Because here it is, this game has been in development 7 years, man. That's a long time for a game to be in development. And then CD Projekt Red, they've also kind of set the bar pretty high with The Witcher 3 just being one of the best games of this generation, in my opinion. Definitely on the top 5 list for me personally. With them setting the bar so high, where do you guys think Cyberpunk 2077 is going to rank? Well, not rank, but score. Do you think it's going to get an 8.5? Do you think it's going to get a 9? Do you think it could be a 10? It's going to be really, really interesting to see where it scores, because I'm going to tell you guys, and I don't know how accurate some of these scores were, but I did see, and of course, like I said, the embargo, it doesn't lift until golly, I guess that's tomorrow. Golly, yeah, whenever y'all hear this, it'll be lifted at, between 9 and 12, depending on which coast you live on. But, I don't know if those scores were accurate. I was seeing a few scores, quite a few, that were like 8 and 8.5. I mean, I saw maybe 1 9 or 2 9s sprinkled in there, but it wasn't a perfect 10 or anything like that. And listening to Paris from Gamertag Radio, shout out to that brother, he was saying that he doesn't think the game is going to be for everybody. He said at its core, it's an RPG. And because of that, your aiming might be a little off. Your driving isn't going to be great starting out. So it could definitely be a bit of a learning curve. And for people that think this is going to be like a GTA kind of clone in first person, you are going to be sadly mistaken. So I am very curious to know how this game is going to, score with, the average gamer. I mean, all of the hype. We know that sometimes hype behind a game, it can kill it if it doesn't even match even half of the hype that it had. It can get bad press. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with Cyberpunk 2077. But, we did find out some information, though, a little bit more information. It is going to be a 43.5 gigabyte update. 43.5 gigs. Good gosh. What the world? I think we went over how much it was going to be, the game itself, right? I think the game itself is like 70 gigs by itself. So you're talking about, man, like 113 and a half gigs for one game. This game, man, oh man, it's a lot of hard drive space. Anyway, tomorrow, be on the lookout for the scores, be on the lookout for the reviews. And I'm going to say that I think Cyberpunk 2077, I think the score is going to be a solid 8. I'm going to go with the 8.5. I don't think it's going to be a 9 or a 10. For some reason, I think it's going to be between an 8 and an 8.5 on Metacritic. It's going to be interesting, man. But let's go ahead, man, and let's go ahead and move on to the next story. So for this next story, I'm going to have to rely on people that have the PlayStation 5. Shout out to AB and shout out to Vaughn. You guys are going to have to tell me something about this story. But it seems like a issue has come up. Now, outside of the regular PlayStation 5 issues, this is an additional issue. So according to a report from CBR, the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller is having stick drift problems that people are reporting on Reddit. So if this is the case, and to be fair, gotta be fair here, who knows how widespread this problem is. But again, if this is the case, now not only do you have to worry about your console not necessarily bricking, but, stopping and pausing and not cutting on right and having to rebuild the hard drive and all of that stuff. But now you're possibly looking at having to worry about your controller having stick drift problems. And we've seen this stick drift problem with the Nintendo Switch. Now, me personally, see, man, and this is when it's going to happen, brother. I'm not even going to talk about my Switch, but let's say I've been in a safe zone as far as the stick drift goes. Nothing has happened to me personally. So it's happened to a lot of people, but who's to say that it's, once again, I'm talking about the PlayStation 5, just switching back to that. Who's to say that it's as big of a situation as they're making it out to be on Reddit. I mean, people can report anything, say anything, and, try to get some traction. Negativity always sells more than positivity. So, I mean, I would hope not. I would hope that the stick drift is not a problem, but if it is, that's not a lot to overcome, but that's a heck of a problem, man. Having to worry about your controller and your console conking out on you. Very interesting. Any of you guys that have PS5s, please write in, call in, let me know if you guys have been experiencing anything like this stick drift problem. But moving on into the next story. Now I want to talk about MDHR, because I thought by now the DLC for Cuphead would have been released, or at least have had a release date. But still, we are waiting, MDHR. And it appears we will be waiting quite some time, because the Cuphead studio took to Twitter to say this, and I quote, "While the delicious last course is a continuation of Cuphead and Mugman's great adventure, it's also a conclusion to the story that began on that fateful day at the Devil's Casino. In true Studio MDHR fashion, we aren't content for this final chapter to be anything less than our best work. Throughout development, we've challenged ourselves to put everything we've learned from making Cuphead into the quality of the delicious last course's animation design and music. Meeting this standard has been extremely challenging for us amid the global pandemic that has affected so many of our fellow developers. Rather than compromise our vision in response to COVID, we've made the difficult decision to push back the release of the delicious last course until we are confident it will delight the Cuphead community the way we feel it should. We know many of you have been waiting to return to the Inkwell Isles, and our goal is to make the trip back there next year a truly magical one. With our warmest regards, Chad and Jared Mollenhauer." End of quote. Oh, man. It hurts. This hurts. I just want to put this in perspective real quick. I mean, very nice letter from the Moldenhauer brothers, but let's put this in perspective. They showed the DLC trailer back on July 2nd, 2019. And here it is, 2020, almost 2021. Now, to be fair, I believe the DLC was supposed to release this year, so it's like a year and 6 months later, and we still aren't going to get it until next year. Now, depending on when we get it next year, it could be okay. Let's say we get it in March. I mean, that's not bad, but they are not telling us when we will get the DLC. Oh, and in case you guys didn't know, the original Cuphead released on September 29th, 2017. So they could have possibly been working on this a little over 2 years, man. And I know that Cuphead, it took a long time to come out. I mean, we had seen it at an E3, seemed like 3 or 4 years before we actually saw the game release. And once it released, we understood that they were doing everything by hand. They were doing it old school Disney style from the 1930s and 40s, hand drawn. And that's what made the game so amazing. But I do respect the fact that they want this game, they want this DLC to release, and they want to make it worth fans, returning back to the game. And I tell you, I'm very excited. The game looked so good. That abominable snowman looking Joker that had the icicles falling from the ceiling and having Chalice in the game. Man, I'm like, when is it gonna happen? But this is actually, okay, let's think about it on a positive note. Now, next year, that with Cuphead, with this DLC coming out, which I'm sure is going to be close to the same length as the original Cuphead, with an added character, brand new bosses to fight, this is going to be big, man. Cuphead, to me, was one of the best games that the Xbox One had last generation, on top of Ori and the Will of the Wisp and the Blind Forest. Those two were the standouts for me. So, going into next year, not only are we going to have Cuphead to look forward to, it's also that other Cyberpunk-esque game that's coming out. It's coming out sometime next year. It didn't make it this year, so it's coming out next year. It's another game that got pushed until next year as well, that was supposed to have come out this year, that everybody was so excited about. The Medium. The Medium is coming out next year. So, I mean, that's 3 games, for Xbox next year. 2 of them that I'm actually really looking forward to. This DLC, and the name of the other game is escaping me, but it was the Cyberpunk looking game back from the July show or the June show from Xbox. So, yeah, I mean, it's not bad, man, but I feel like I'm rambling at this point. We just gotta be a little more patient, and, yeah. That's about it, man. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into a quick news story. Now, if you own Batman Arkham Knight, you are going to get a nice surprise because coming your way. Because Rocksteady Studios tweeted out, and I quote, "You asked, and we couldn't help but answer with a little gift just in time for the holiday season. From today, all Batman Arkham Knight players can access the Zor-N-R, and I know I ain't said that right there. It's spelled A-R-R-H. I'm thinking R. And anime Batman skins via a free update." End of quote. So here we are. Man, when did Arkham Knight come out? Like 5 years ago? Here we are. Rocksteady, they decided, oh man, it's that time of year. Let's go ahead. You guys been asking us for it. We're going to give it to you. 2 free DLC suits. Well, Batman skins, for free. I mean, y'all guys know how I feel. If it's free, it's for me. So go ahead and download this. I believe I read a little bit about what this Zor-N-R Batman suit was about. And it had to do with him going to another planet or something, and he had to fight some people off. I don't know. Y'all know my memory's shot, but go on over there and download that. That's all. Let's go ahead and get into some more quick news. Now, Neil Druckmann, man, that's my dude right there, made my game of the generation. Neil Druckmann, well, he helped bring it to fruition. He has been promoted to co-president of Naughty Dog. Now, this was announced by Naughty Dog president Evan Wells. Now, Neil Druckmann, he took to Twitter and he said this, and I quote, and I'll still be directing and writing while helping to mentor the next wave of creators. End of quote. So it looks like that he is not coming out of that driver's seat, even though he is the co-president of Naughty Dog. It seems like he's still going to have his boots on the ground. He's still going to be in there with I'm all tongue tied with the development team, still writing and continuing to direct and help mentor the new talent that'll be coming in, as well as, the same talent that's been there. So a huge congratulations to Neil Druckmann. I think he definitely deserves that. And I can't wait to see what these guys are working on next. My goodness, I'm telling you, The Last of Us Part 2 was major. Let's go ahead and speaking of Sony, not quite Sony, but one of Sony's associates. Let's go to the man himself, Mr. Jim Ryan. Now, he sat down with Edge magazine to talk about cross-gen support between the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Now, he said in the interview, and I quote, and this is again with Edge magazine, I quote, "We do feel that we have a responsibility to that very large community and an opportunity to carry on making great PlayStation 4 games for as long as the need is there. And I think that is the right thing to do. It's the rational thing to do. And I think you will see a tale." Now, this is interesting. Listen to this. He says, "I think you will see a tale with PlayStation 4 or with PS4 that you did not see with PS3. Ooh, buddy. He says, "But that said, as time passes, you're going to see more and more emphasis on PS5 development, and the PS5 SKU will be the lead SKU." End of quote. Oh. You Sony guys out there, PlayStation fans and fans alike, are y'all gonna keep that same energy that y'all gave Microsoft talking about they're holding back gaming, they're holding back what the what the Xbox can do? Here it is, Jim Ryan, and I must say, man, I got to call myself out. I was mad at Microsoft for that myself, so, I fall in that same boat. But with this being said, man, the way that Jim Ryan is speaking, first off, got to give him credit. He came out here. He must have heard the way that people were calling him lying and Ryan and all of this stuff. He heard that and he said, you know what, let me just be as truthful as possible. And I respect the truth. Look, it's over 100 million gamers over on the PlayStation 4. I get it. It only makes business sense to say, look, we got all of these guys over there. They're playing, they're enjoying the console. Not all of them are going to jump right over to the PS5. Look, we got to make sure that we keep these guys engaged. We got to make sure that they're happy on the PlayStation 4 because we have to make money from these guys as well. The ecosystem is much bigger on that side versus the 5, so we got to keep these guys fueled. I understand it 100%, and that makes me really, really wonder with him saying that this tale is going to be much longer with the PlayStation 4 versus the PS3. It starts to make me say, how many games over the next 2, maybe even 3 years? Because I think they might have kept on with the PlayStation 3 for maybe like 2-3 years afterwards, somewhere around there. Man, maybe not even that long. Maybe 1 or 2. Games continued to come out on the 3, but they had moved on relatively fast. So it makes me wonder with the PlayStation 5 and this tail being much longer than the PS3. I think God of War is coming to the PlayStation 4, man. I think it's going to happen. If it's coming out next year, and the way Jim Ryan is talking in this interview with Edge magazine, I think this is just a bit of the prep work to say, hey, listen, I'm letting y'all know right now, the tail on this PS4, we gonna be here for a minute. We gonna have that on the docket. We gonna be bouncing back and forth between both. So get used to that for a little while. And with that being said, some of these games are coming to the PS4 as well and the PlayStation 5. Man, God dog. Wow. Very, very interesting, Ryan. I respect the honesty, though. I mean, you got to respect it. It's a lot of money on the table. It's a lot of money to walk away from. I get it. But, does that mean that, how much is that going to hold back what the PlayStation 5 could possibly do and it's not going to be all. I mean, we already know that it's not going to be all of the games. I mean, right now, Demon Souls, that's only available on the 5. Well, Demon Souls Remake. And Ratchet and Clank. Insomniac, they already came out and said that is not happening. That's only going to be on the PS5. Now, I mean, I guess other games, look, Gran Turismo 7 is coming up soon. We don't know if that's going to be PlayStation 5 only. We know that Horizon Forbidden West is going to be on both. So it's going to be a little bit of give and take. But how much will it be as far as give and take? Like, is it going to be every other game is going to be on both or not? I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. Anyway, man, oh man, interesting times. It's like, Sony, they are very, very smart with what they do. I got to give them a bit of a round of applause, not too much, because it's kind of terrible how they do it. But Microsoft is crazy enough to continue to do it every time. Here it is, Sony, like I said, time and time again, they just sit back and they just wait. They wait for Microsoft to go out in the line of fire. Everybody is behind the wall. Sony and Microsoft are both behind the wall. It's bullets coming, and Microsoft says, you know what? I'm going to go out there first. I'm going to do it first. I'm going to get us home. And they go out there and they get shot to smithereens. And all of a sudden, Sony waits. They wait for the gunfire to slow down, and it's not too much going on. And all of a sudden, they slowly go peeping their head out the side like, is it safe to come out? This has happened like 2 times, if not 3 already. And that's what Sony does. They just wait to let Microsoft take all of the heat, all of the arrows, all of the bullets, and they come out and say, oh yeah, by the way, yeah, we're going to do the same thing. But next question. It's like, God dog, man. Anyway, let's go ahead and let's get into, actually, this is some unfortunate news. EA has announced that BioWare's general manager, Casey Hudson, and executive producer on Dragon Age 4, Mark Dara, are leaving the company. But all projects in the works will continue as planned. And just to point this out, this is Casey Hudson's his second time leaving BioWare. Now, he stayed for 3 years, and, it's pretty much over. I mean, he did write something in a post. Hudson had this to say, and I quote, he says, "It's not an easy decision to make, and big changes like this always come with a certain degree of sadness. I will miss being able to work every day with our inspiring developers on the biggest and most exciting projects I can imagine. But I also know that this is a good time for a change for both myself and BioWare. It's profound and humbling to look back on a decades-long career and think about the things we achieved together. It's hard to make the decision to move on, but I'm excited about what's next for all of us." End of quote. Shout out to IGN for that article. It's unfortunate, man. It really is. When we were talking about Mass Effect, well, I don't know if they're going to call it Mass Effect 5 or whatever it's going to be, the new Mass Effect that's being developed. When I heard that they were going to have the old team on there, first person I thought of was Casey Hudson, because he is one of the original guys from the roster. It really made me feel good, like these guys, they got the team back together. They got the band back together. This is going to be the one to get the franchise back on track. But then we find out that he's leaving, and I'm like, no, like Darth Vader out this mother lover. This is a bit alarming, and I understand that EA, they're going to continue to do what they do. All of the projects are going to just, go forward. But man, do you guys think Mass Effect is going to be all right? Do you guys think that Dragon Age. I haven't been into Dragon Age. That's never been a game I've gotten into. But them losing their executive producer, Mark Dara, is that going to leave Dragon Age in a bit of a lurch, man? The newest one. It's a very interesting. Yeah, it ain't an interesting situation. I mean, it is what it is. These guys, they want to leave. It's, clear cut. Might want to do something else. They might want to retire. They might want to just sit back on the beach and relax or go fishing on the weekend. I don't know. But it is sad. I ain't even going to say sad. It's just a little alarming to me. It makes me wonder, is the Mass Effect game, the new one, gonna come out okay? And speaking of Mass Effect, it was this rumor going around where they were saying that the Mass Effect remaster wasn't gonna have multiplayer in it. I don't know if that's true or not, but they were talking about wasn't a screenshot, but it was an article. I didn't read the article in full. It just said that it might not have a multiplayer mode in it. Now, whether or not, like I said, that's true, I can't 100% say it's yes or no. But that is the rumor. Anyway, but let's not leave on a negative note. On a positive note, speaking about BioWare, Jeff Keighley did reveal on Twitter, and I quote, "Don't miss a special look. The next Dragon Age from at BioWare during hashtag the Game Awards next Thursday." So for you Dragon Age fans that have been wondering what the heck is going on with the game, you're going to get a look at it during the Game Awards in the next couple of days. Game Awards are not far at all away. 4 days when I'm recording this? So yeah, man, be on the lookout for it. Hopefully they show gameplay and not a CG trailer. I don't want to see a CG trailer. These consoles are amazing right now. We don't need CG trailers. Show us the doggone game, man. That's all we need to see. Don't you guys get tired of the CG trailers, man? It's like right now, that was great back in the day when you couldn't really see the facial expressions on the character. I mean, you go back to Metal Gear Solid, man, as amazing as that first game was on the PlayStation, man, the facial expressions, brother, it wasn't nothing going on, brother, nothing. But here we are with these new consoles, man, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, having all of these emotions on their face, and the Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4, that ending, god dog, wow. No spoilers, but man, it's so believable with the characters now that I just don't see a reason why they continue to show CG. Somebody need to start a Twitter hashtag no more CG trailers, god dog. And I might start it on my Twitter, god darn it. Shoot, who the heck knows? Anyway, let's go ahead and let's just, matter of fact, hold on, man. I should have told y'all about this earlier, but let's circle back to Cyberpunk 2077 because it was a Reddit leak. Now, according to Dan X Cell, he has shown a picture of the game's menu that looks like the Xbox Series version. It looks like it's the Xbox Series version because of the button icons that were shown on the screen. But what makes this screenshot so interesting is it shows a performance and quality mode option. So in the menu, it says, and I quote, "Choose between performance and image quality. In performance mode, frame rate will be prioritized at the expense of image quality. In quality mode, frame rate will be capped at a lower value to prioritize image quality." End of quote. Now, this was only on the Xbox version. Now, Series X, I believe it was. Series X or S. Let's not say the S. I don't know about that. This is the thing. I can't imagine, even though it was just showing the icons of the Xbox controller, I just CD Projekt Red being who they are, being the way that they are, I don't think this is only going to be on Xbox, so I'm sure that the PlayStation 5 is going to have a performance mode as well, where they'll be able to bump up the frame rate or bump up the graphical fidelity, possibly making it 4K or not. I don't know if it's going to be native 4K or any of that stuff. I don't know if it's going to be 60 frames per second or it's going to chop it down to 30 frames and you're going to have all of the amazing ray tracing and just the beauty in the game. But that is just, to me, that is the most beautiful part of this generation. And I still don't have my consoles. I can't find them, and it hurts, but I just got to wait it out, man. But I'm just looking at this and saying, man, we have finally, as console, well, I can't include myself in it yet because I don't have the consoles, but console gamers are finally getting the options to do things that PC has been able to do for years. And they're leaving it up to the gamer to decide, well, look, if you want that performance, take the performance. The graphics the fidelity is gonna be a little soft, not as sharp. But if you want that graphical fidelity, guess what? You can do that too and just knock the frames down a touch. That's beautiful, man. It really is. And just thinking about the loading times being so much faster. I was looking at the Digital Foundry. Oh, man, we got to talk about Digital Foundry. Oh, shucks. But before I get to that, the Digital Foundry video I wanted to talk about was just the 2K video that they had up, 2K21, I believe, where they were comparing the last gen to this gen, and it is such a difference with the facial, with the way the face looks of the characters is so amazing. And just looking at that load time, how it's right there, bam, just throws you right into the game. I would say, man, I haven't been this excited for a next generation. And man, I would say quite honestly, since like the 360, that was when I really had so much. I was just so amped, like, I gotta have it. When the Xbox One came out, still excited, but it just didn't give me like that edge of excitement, like, oh, I gotta have it. It's like, with these features that the consoles have now, it's like, man, this is really a jump. This is a jump. And once again, going back to like I said, the Cyberpunk situation, if this is true, them giving us the option to do this, even though we know that the next gen versions aren't coming out until sometime next year, them allowing, once again, if this is true, if this Reddit post is true, letting console gamers have that option, it's awesome. I've repeated myself way too much, but speaking of Cyberpunk, man, you guys are just awesome to me. I appreciate y'all every time y'all tune in, and you guys know I love showing my appreciation to you guys. And this week is no different. I have right here a $25 gift card for Xbox. So for any of you guys that have an Xbox One, Xbox Series S, Xbox One S, or One X, get your pens and your paper out, and I want you to use this $25 to put towards Cyberpunk 2077, or if you don't want Cyberpunk, you can put it towards whatever game you want. So anyway, here is the code right here. Get ready to write it down, because here it goes. It is VM as in Mark. I guess V as in Victor, M as in Mark, 34, M as in Mark, or M, 3, KK2, Q4, H, DW9W C6P6KQ6Z. I only use the mark in the Victor because sometimes I know my voice isn't clear. So hopefully you guys were able to write that down. And whoever won, just let me know that you got it. And I hope you enjoy it. It's just a little token of my appreciation to you guys. The numbers have been really going up, and without you guys tuning in and listening and us having a conversation with the feedback section, or the listener feedback, it's absolutely not worth doing. So thank you guys again for being here. I truly, truly appreciate it. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead, and we are getting close to the end of the show, actually. Before we stop talking about Cyberpunk, because I'm sure everybody gonna be talking about that all week long. Man, can you imagine what the heck Digital Foundry is gonna do when it comes to the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X version? Those two versions of this game, that's gonna be a shootout. Now, that might be the shootout of the year between those two consoles. Because here it is, Cyberpunk. We know this game looks beautiful. The ray tracing, is going to be crazy. The resolution, the fidelity, that's the shootout right there. What a way to take out this year, comparing those two consoles. That's the one I say to look out for. We know Digital Foundry is going to do it. When they're going to do it, I don't know, but I'm looking forward to that. But one other thing on Cyberpunk 2077, they were talking about the map size, and they said that the map is 2 times bigger than GTA 5. And GTA 5's map was no joke. So if you're talking about 2 times bigger, God dog, I can't imagine what the heck the commute is going to be in the car. That's going to be so interesting. And then they talked about the multiplayer. CD Projekt Red, they were saying it was more than multiplayer. They don't want to call it that. You're going to be amazed at what you see. And they were asked, well, when can we expect the multiplayer to come out? And they said you can expect it around 2022. So about a year. Basically a year and some change, I'm sure. So we'll see how that actually comes out in the wash when it happens. But moving off of Cyberpunk 2077, I guess you guys could tell I'm pretty excited about that game. But in more quick news, Microsoft acquired the esports platform Smash.gg. I'm not very familiar with Smash.gg. It's just the only thing I know is, like I wrote down here, it's an esports platform, and who knows what they're going to do with that. Hopefully they're successful and can continue to have it be off the ground. I know they said it's going to continue to be a tournament-driven platform. And yeah, they're just trying to broaden their horizon. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that deal in the future. But into the final story of this week. It looks like Metal Gear Solid will be getting a movie. Now, Derek Connolly is being reported to have written the script. Now, some of his previous writings, if you weren't familiar with the guy, which I wasn't, to be honest, it does include Kong, Skull Island, the Jurassic World franchise, and Pokemon Detective Pikachu, which I think actually got some pretty good reviews. Not a bad movie, and it was based off of a video game character, so this might not be too bad. I don't know, but we'll see. But Solid Snake, the character, he will be played by actor Oscar Isaac, and I believe he was in Star Wars. Not very familiar with his body of work either, but that's what I read, and at least I think I read. Now, this is the thing, Metal Gear Solid, a movie. You guys, if you do know or you don't know, you might not know, I'm not really a big fan of gaming movies. I'm not. At one point in time, I thought it was necessary, to have a gaming movie to really give you that flair, have the character really come to life on the screen. But as far as I can see, man, these games are so far advanced. Nathan Drake on the screen, man, that Joker looks real to me. I mean, him and Sully interacting with one another, having their scenes, reading their lines. Well, not reading their lines, but, saying, just having a dialogue back and forth. I'm like, man, this is a doggone movie. What the world do we need a movie for? And I know some people feel differently. Now, this is something that I do want to say where I might have to retract that statement because I saw the trailer. Shout out to AB. That brother sent me the trailer of The Last of Us. This gonna be on HBO. Hey man, listen. When I saw that trailer, brother, and I saw that Infected, and it looked like the video games version of the Infected, I said, oh man. I don't know. I'm sitting there saying, this actually looks really, really good. It really got me excited. It got me to really say, wow, I might have to watch this. Now, whether or not it's as good as it looked in the trailer, we're not going to know until a later time. But it really caught me off guard. So, to me, for me to get excited about a movie, a video game movie, I think they would have to stick so close to the material and not just stray so far off the path of what the game is. I guess I could get excited. Metal Gear Solid Snake, one of my favorite all-time characters ever in gaming. I talk about, Hideo Kojima. I think he's missed a step. He's lost a couple of steps in my opinion. Death Stranding was not at all the answer. At all. That game just was not fun to play. So yeah, I think he needs somebody to reel him in, kind of keep him on point. But that doesn't take away that Metal Gear Solid, the first one on the PlayStation 1, was incredible. It was absolutely amazing. And to see that character possibly come to life, well, not possibly, this is happening, come to life on the big screen, or your home screen, because of COVID-19. Don't know what's going to happen in the future with the theater situation, but it might be interesting. I always thought of Snake, though, as Rambo. Always thought he was pretty much patternized after Rambo. That was the inspiration for the character. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know about the Metal Gear joint. I can't sit here and say, oh, I'm so over the moon for it. I'm not. I don't know. I just don't know. But that Last of Us, though, oh, man, that really got a brother going, man. It truly, truly did. So, yeah, we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens with this situation. But we know that the Uncharted movie is supposed to be in the works as well. And I want the gaming movies to be great. I just don't really see the point of them because gaming has just come so far. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But before we wrap up the news section of the podcast, I do want to ask you guys, because I talked about it a little earlier, with the VGAs, or the Video Game Awards, coming up later on this week. Do you guys think that Microsoft is going to show something off? Do you guys think that Sony is going to show something off? I mean, I'm thinking Microsoft and Sony, they both know that I'm sure at this point in time, 9 times out of 10, E3, unfortunately, is not going to happen next year. It's not going to happen. And with that being said, almost thought I forgot to give y'all the code to the $25 on the Xbox joint. But with that being said, I think that they're going to want to get some buzz going. Now, PlayStation, granted, PlayStation doesn't need any more buzz, but more buzz never hurts. Let's be honest. So I think that, I don't know, do we see Gran Turismo 7? Do we see more of a snippet of, God of War, Ragnarok? Or do we see more gameplay of Horizon, Forbidden West? I mean, what do you guys think? Or do they totally just go left field on us and show us something we had no idea was happening? I mean, it's a rumor out there that, shout out to AB again. This brother be hitting me with stories all the time. Y'all should hit me with stuff, man. Hit me up on Twitter at Kiaun79, man. Hit me up with some stuff y'all might want me to talk about, man. Feel free. Or email me. I mean, let me know something, man. You might want me to cover something. But he sent me this article talking about that Blue Point Games is supposed to be making a Metal Gear Solid remake. And we've heard that for a while now. Speaking of Metal Gear, could we get something like that at the VGAs? And I ain't gonna lie, man. Oh, man, one of my favorite boss fights. And I know I sound like a broken record or a CD that's on repeat, but that Psycho Mantis fight was legendary. That was just so amazing to me. And I would love to go back in that world and see what the heck an original Metal Gear from the PlayStation would look like on these consoles of today. And we see what Blue Point does. They do amazing work. That Shadow of the Colossus on PS4, God, dog, man. These guys are really, really talented, man. So I'm just interested. You guys let me know what you think about that and shoot me an email or hit me up on Twitter at Kiaun79 and let's talk about it. But anyway, with that being said, that is the end of the gaming news this week, which leads us into the final section of the podcast, and it looks like we're gonna finish on time. Golly, we are definitely back on track, brothers and sisters. But I want to ask you guys this, and you guys saw it already. We're just gonna officially go over it. When is a game too long? Now, what made me ask this question, and I was talking about Cyberpunk heavy, feel like I really paused on that one for a minute, just talking and talking and talking. But they said that it's a developer that has played that game pretty much almost 200 hours. I think we talked about that last week. 175 hours, I think it was. But now they're saying he's closer to 200 hours and he has still not beaten the game. I'm never finishing Cyberpunk. It's never gonna happen. I don't want to. Oh, man, and I'm sure he's doing missions, side missions, breaking in the banks or whatever the side stuff is. He's probably trying to do it all. But 200 hours, golly, I just don't have that kind of time. I mean, for me, The Last of Us Part 2, that was solid, man. I got through that game in roughly about 32, maybe 33 hours, somewhere around there. I know some people thought it overstayed its welcome, but to me, with that story being as great as it was and keeping me engaged, the time didn't seem like it took that long, even though it did, but it was so engaging to me. So I didn't mind, but You talking about a game, you talking about when you get up to like 50 and 60 out, man, you gonna kind of lose me. I don't know if I can do that. That's RPG numbers. Like I said, and once again, oh man, here we go. Full circle. Cyberpunk 2077 is a RPG. I don't know. I want to get you guys' opinion on this. When is a game too long? Does it start to become too long after 15 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours? And I know people want bang for their buck, but when does it get to the point where it's like, all right, man, I'm ready for the credits ready for this to be over so I can move on to the next game. So, this Wednesday, I will once again be recording listener feedback. And if you want to be a part of that show, just chime in 2 different ways. Either call in at 443-216-9934 and let your voice be heard, and we can go over that question that I asked this week, when is a game too long? Or you can email the show, and the email address is the analogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. I was your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and I want to just once again say thank you guys so much for being here. Whoever won the $25, congratulations. Let me know. I'll give you a shout out. And with that being said, thanks again for the support. But before we officially get out of here, always remember, it is not about the consoles. It is about the games. So until Wednesday, when we do it again, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.